Okay, can you see module 3 questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in this, to take up the first one, fourth question, that is with a neat sketch, discuss the effect of temperature and specimen thickness on fracture toughness. Question number 4. Question number 4. With a neat sketch, discuss the effect of temperature and specimen thickness on fracture toughness. Note down that question, then question number 8, then go to question number 3. Okay, 4, 8, and 3. Please note down those 3 questions. Noted, huh?
Writing. Yes, sir.
Finished, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's look at the chapter on module 3. So we'll just go through what is that we learned in module 3 first a bit, then concentrate on okay, so these are the things that we learned in module 3, that is LEFM approach. Okay, 1 second. Huh? You cannot see this, right? Okay. Stop presenting. Window. Okay. Yeah. Can you see the slide now?
Yes, sir.
What happened? Okay. So we learned in module 3 the LEFM approach, that is linear elastic fracture mechanics concepts, and then notches and their effects. This is what, and height diagram, as I said in the beginning, it's very, very important topic from both examination point of view as well. So I think we have taken a question on height diagram also. Okay, so as we all know, the fatigue always begins at a crack. Okay, so the crack generates at the surface. Okay, all of you have made a mistake in second internals where the fatigue starts starts at the core at the in the component or on the surface. So none of you have answered. So please remember, fatigue always starts on the surface. Okay, so at a crack, the crack may have been present in the material since its manufacture, and then all structural members contain discontinuities ranging from microscopic to macroscopic, introduced in the manufacturing or fabricating process. So these discontinuities can be in the form of holes, notches, cracks, discontinuities, inclusions, and so on. Okay. So fatigue cracks generally start at a notch or stress concentration. And then we learned about two examples by taking comet aeroplane failure. And then the three stages of fatigue failure are crack initiation, crack nucleation, and sudden fracture due to unstable crack growth. That is, the crack growth cannot be controlled, then suddenly the failure or fracture of this component takes place. So first stage can be short duration. Second stage takes most of the life of the part. Okay, so that is crack propagation, maximum time it will take. And third stage is instantaneous. That is, breakage of aeroplane in mid-air is going to be instantaneous. Okay, so that's how the fatigue failure stages are there. And then in ductile materials, as one important aspect that we need to learn here is metals are not homogeneous and isotropic at microscopic level. Okay, and then what will happen in ductile materials is that it takes longer duration for crack propagation. And then we learned about slip bands, okay, that are present, that is regions of intense deformation due to shear motion. They are called slip bands. Okay, and coalesce means bring together to form a mass or a whole. That is, small particles, they come together to become a bigger mass. Okay, so same thing happens in case of fracture also. And then brittle materials don't have the ability to heal, hence tend to develop cracks more rapidly. That is very, very important. Whereas in ductile materials, it takes longer duration. And materials which do not yield will skip initiation stage totally. So it will only lead to final failure. So it's dangerous to have brittle materials. And then we learnt about crack propagation stage. So here the crack creates stress concentrations, okay, larger than those of original notch. Okay, these cracks will create very high stress concentrations, right? They will be so large that they will overtake the presence of a discontinuity or notch in the presence of a hole or a groove. Okay, so that's why the cracks are very dangerous. A plastic zone develops at the crack tip. Okay, that is, plastic zone is that the zone cannot come back to its original position. Okay, that means in the plastic zone it will not regain its original shape, it keeps cracking. Okay, and it opens the crack, blunting its tip and reducing the effective stress concentration. Okay, and crack grows a small amount. So like that the crack starts. So somewhere here in the picture, so this is the crack tip. So then this is where it will just start propagating. Okay, so that is, the crack growth is due to tensile stress, and crack grows along planes normal to the maximum tensile stress. This is what we learned. That is, this is the tensile stress that is applied in this direction. Okay, tensile stress is applied in this direction. The cracks will go perpendicular to the direction of application of load. That's what it means. That is, the crack is due to tensile stress, so that we saw, and the crack grows along the planes normal, that is perpendicular to the maximum tensile stress. So it is for this reason that fatigue failures are considered to be due to tensile stress. Okay, even though shear stress starts the process in ductile materials. Okay, so tensile stress is the one which allows fatigue failure, whereas compressive loads try to close the cracks that are developed. Okay, but in ductile materials, it is the shear stress which starts the process of fatigue failure. So, but major component is the tensile stress, which will lead to fatigue failure of the components. Then we learnt about higher stress amplitudes cause larger crack growth per cycle. That is, higher stress amplitudes in the sense that is the amplitude of stress will be larger. That is, if you take amplitude, such larger amplitudes can create or can cause larger crack growth per cycle. So if the amplitude of stress is larger, then the crack growth will be faster. That's it. Okay. So that's what is a crack propagation stage we meant. Then comes fracture mechanics. So materials will generally have defects such as cracks, voids, inclusions, which could serve as stress risers. And here, the scratches or gouges in the surface due to mishandling can also serve as incipient cracks. That is, the cracks nucleation. And then here, the fracture mechanics approach is adopted to study. That means fracture mechanics will assume the presence of crack already. That is, if you see here, the science of fracture mechanics has been developed to explain and predict the sudden failure phenomenon. So how it does? So it normally, okay, so if the zone of yielding around the crack is small, so in fracture mechanics compared to dimensions of the part, then linear elastic fracture mechanics theory is applicable, LEFM. Okay, so this is the crack and this is the crack tip. So xy are the Cartesian coordinates, r and theta represents polar coordinates. So that means it takes both spherical as well as linear crack propagation. And then depending modes of crack displacement, this we learned. So mode 1, mode 2 and mode 3 types of crack displacement. Okay, that is here you have, if you have pull in these two directions, it will open up like, crocodile's mouth. Okay, so this is mode 1 type of crack displacement. So this is mode 2 type where there is going to be like a shear. Okay, and in mode 3 you will have sideway movement of the components. The most detrimental is the mode 1, which will pull the crack open in tension. So mode 1 is most dangerous and most important mode of crack displacement. Okay, then we learned about stress intensity factor with the r and theta polar coordinates. Okay, so the stress diminished rapidly and the quantity K in the equation is called the stress intensity factor. So when you multiply with sigma x by this denominator, you are going to get stress intensity factor, which is essentially ratio of maximum stress to nominal stress, or K is equal to sigma nominal into root pi into crack length A. So that is nominal stress will be multiplied by root of pi, that is 3.14 root into crack length. So definitely it's going to be more than 1. So that is the factor, intensity factor, that we are going to get. That is 1 second, I'll let you know what is that, right? Okay, this root pi is 1.77. So that multiplied by crack length. So okay, maybe crack length if it is 0.25 mm. So the sigma nominal will be multiplied by this to get the stress intensity factor. Then fundamentals of LEFM and application to fatigue crack growth. So fracture mechanics is widely or heavily used in aerospace, nuclear and ship industry, where the replacement of components as a whole will be costlier. So therefore, to reuse the components even in the presence of a crack, so fracture mechanics would help. Okay, and how it is. So in order to make life estimations or predictions, the following information is required. That is stress intensity factor, what is fracture toughness, applicable fatigue growth, initial crack size, and final or critical crack size. So how the cracks can form? They can form due to fatigue, that is repeated loading, or they can exist as a consequence of manufacturing process in the form of voids or inclusions. Okay, and fracture mechanics in fatigue growth is used to understand damage tolerant designs and so on. So LEFM, again we learnt about mode 1, mode 2, mode 3. Then stress intensity factor, nominal stress into root pi into A will give us the stress intensity factor. This is what we learned. And Griffith uses polar coordinate systems, R and theta. Then the value of stress intensity factor depends upon loading type, crack shape, mode of crack displacement, component or specimen or structure configuration. Okay, and then that is what 1.77 into S into root of A will give you stress intensity factor. Okay, and then crack tip plastic zone. So the local plasticity at the crack tip controls both fracture and crack growth. So this is very, very essential. So local plasticity in the sense it cannot regain its original shape and size. So this local plasticity at the crack tip would control both fracture and the amount of crack growth, right? So therefore it is very, very essential to understand local plasticity, because that is the one which will help for the crack to grow and new propagate. Okay, and then for approximating the plastic zone size, two models were in use. That is, one is Irwin model, another is Dugdale model. So what will happen in Irwin model is they take theta to be equal to 0, and sigma equation would identify plastic zone boundary, that is yield stress. Okay, will identify the plastic zone boundary, that is sigma y is equal to k by root 2 pi r cos theta and so on. So that would identify the plastic zone boundary. Okay, and then Dugdale model, what it does is he extends beyond the crack. Okay, this is the extension that is in Dugdale model. Crack tip plastic zone is widely used actually. This is for the condition of plane stress. He modeled the plastic regions extending beyond the physical crack length. So 2C is the physical crack length, but he extends the region beyond the physical crack length by a distance r, okay, on both sides. So therefore this model is widely used. Okay, a narrow strip of distance r as used in there, and then he finds out an equation to find out this value of r. So limitation is net nominal stress in the crack plane must be less than the yield strength. That is one of the major limitations of LEFM. So this is what is the modulus of toughness of the material. Okay, that is the plastic region. So more the ductility, more is the toughness. But whereas more the brittle, more the strength. So they are converse to each other. Okay, so then we learned about fracture toughness, right now. So fracture toughness basically is the critical stress intensity factor of a sharp crack where propagation of crack suddenly becomes rapid and unlimited. Okay, it's a quantitative way of expressing materials resistance to crack propagation. So that is if you have more of this zone, so it is having more toughness. That means it offers more resistance for crack propagation. So that's what it all means. Okay, so Kc represents the critical value of stress intensity factor K for a given load. And then this Kc can be used to obtain critical crack size for fracture under cyclic loading. And now we need to learn about the effect of thickness, that is fracture toughness, and this is crack length growth. Okay, so this is the thin member, this is a medium thickness, and this is a thick member. Okay, so let's understand this. So the beach markings at the initial crack tip represent fatigue. So fracture toughness again is the energy absorbed by the material in the presence of a crack. Okay, so as the thickness is increased, the percentage of shear lips or slant fracture decreases, as does Casey. This type of fracture appearance is called the mixed mode fracture, implying both slant and flat fractures. This is what happens in thin. Okay, this is a this is a slant surface, and this is slant and flat surface. Okay, as for thick parts, the entire fracture surface is flat, that is like this. Okay, that is for a thick member, the entire fracture surface is going to be flat surface. And Kc approaches an asymptotic minimum value. So any further increase in thickness does not decrease the fracture toughness, or nor does it alter the fracture surface appearance. So that will give you the moderate value of the thickness. So even if you increase the thickness, it does not decrease the fracture toughness. So you can keep increasing the thickness. Okay. So next is a fracture toughness can be very sensitive to metallurgical conditions like grain orientations, chemistry, and microstructure. So we'll look at this. Okay. What is the question that we have taken? Um, we have taken explain the temperature and specimen thickness on fracture toughness. Okay, so go to question number 4. Okay, effect of specimen thickness on fracture toughness. So let's first write what is fracture toughness. Okay, so fracture toughness definition you write, and then go to this then you write about the stress intensity factor Kc, and write down this equation, and then write the sketch, and write the explanation here. Okay, from figure. So these three you need to write. Okay, thin parts will have high Kc value accompanied by appreciable shear lips or slant fracture, whereas in the medium thickness you will have both the flat surface and inclined surface, whereas in thin parts the Kc value is larger, whereas in thick parts the fracture toughness, that is Kc stress intensity factor value, is lesser. Okay, so you need to write these three paragraph, this sketch, and write about what is fracture toughness and what is Kc. Okay, it is a value of stress, critical value of stress intensity factor. Is that okay? So in thicker material, stress intensity factor critical value is lesser, whereas in thin members, the stress intensity factor critical value is larger. Okay, and in thin members, it is going to have slant surface. In medium thickness, you will have both slant and flat, and in thick members, you will have only flat surface. Okay, are you there? So we write from fracture toughness definition to those three with sketch in your sheet. Is that okay? Please write it now.
Okay, sir.
Is the slide visible for you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Two.
Yeah.
Papa.
Oh. Finished with this definition of fracture toughness?
Yes, sir.
Finished, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, note down the sketch now. So KC can be used to obtain critical crack sizes for fracture under cyclic loading. General relationship between fracture toughness KC and the thickness. This is thickness B millimeter. So the KC value decreases as the thickness increases, and the for thin surfaces, the fracture surface will have slant surface, whereas in medium thick members you will have both slant and flat surfaces together. Whereas in thick members, the fracture surface is going to be a flat surface. Okay, and in thin members, fracture toughness is a larger, and in thick members, the fracture toughness is smaller. So when you write the sketch, how you should write is this is below, then next is below. Here I made bit to flat, that is in straight line. This thick member should come little below. Okay, so this is the top one, next below, and third one thick value will be still more below. Okay, it should be in a inclined line. You got my point when you write the sketch?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sure.
It has to start from somewhere there and then go down. So you should have your thick member somewhere there. This is the thick, this is medium. So that indicates that it's the Kc value is lesser. Please write that general relationship between fracture toughness and thickness, and Kc can be used to obtain critical crack size for fracture under cyclic loading. If you are finished, we will take the next. This is B, that is the thickness. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If you are finished, we will take the next page, or you are still writing?
No, sir. Still right.
Okay.
Writing, sir.
Okay. We will continue in the next class. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.